Hi everybody, my name is B. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm ranking Jonghyun's solo discography, or more precisely, the part of it that I know. Jonghyun's my favorite artist, but I actually haven't known him for that long. It's been around 2.5 years at this point, maybe a little less. And for someone who isn't me, that's probably plenty of time to explore the entire discography, but I like to spend time with songs, and the more I like them, the longer that can take. Right now, I probably know about half of his songs and a couple related ones like Playboy, Breathe, Wrongly Given Love, Young and Rich. Those I didn't include. The ranking itself is split into different tiers, and honestly, within the tiers, the songs are mostly interchangeable. I didn't want to make my head explode with like any sort of actual definitive set in stone decisions, so within the tiers it's whatever basically. Still, it was really fun to do. Let's get started. Aurora. The song is a beautiful sonic kaleidoscope, but in the very end, I don't like these. Who's the producer? Aurora's instrumental is incredibly detailed and it's fascinating to explore. It's also really nice that Jonghyun matches that very well too. Overall, he sings in a very varied approach, exploring a good chunk of his range in the process through layering and ad-libs, but none of that changes the fact that Dees produces the same song basically every single time. He's got one blueprint, which is admittedly extremely intricate, if not downright genius, and he sticks to it like glue. Doesn't matter what song he works on, it doesn't matter what artist he works for, it's the same thing every single time, and I don't deal well with that. For me, this is a thing that registers as repetition, blueprint repetition, which repetition is my number one music pet peeve. I don't like it. And it's also just kind of insulting. If you're that talented, do something with it, just anything. The thought of what we could have had and what we're missing out on because we're getting the same song again and again and again is just so painful to me. I want Dees to explore other things. I want to see what he's capable of. And yes, I'm aware there are probably good reasons why the outcome is what it is, but still, I can't help but mourn what we don't have and also be annoyed at the blueprint repetition at the same time. Rewind. Rewind wasn't for me when I originally listened to it. I would say I've gotten used to it now. It's just not quite like anything else, and I do like that about it. But in the end, there's not as much singing going on as I want. I prefer singing over talk singing at all times by a mile, and especially if you've got a voice like Jonghyun's. Also, there's one teeny tiny thing that always throws me a little bit for a loop, and that is the Vida during the multiple language section, which, by the way, I think is really, really cool. I love when artists do that. But what he couldn't have known is in that particular context, we wouldn't say Vida to mean again, we would say nochmal. And that is not something that you can know unless you're a native speaker, or at the very least fluent at a very high level. So obviously, I'm not mad about that. I can totally understand that that happened the way that it did, but as someone who is a native speaker, it does feel a little bit weird. And his pronunciation is actually quite good. I mean, I can only attest to the German section, but he does a good job. It's just that took some getting used to, and I'm not quite sure I'm there yet entirely. Like, yes, but sometimes it does take me out a little bit. Neon. As far as commentary goes, honestly, it's exactly the same as Aurora because it's exactly the same. This one was first, so I guess there's that. But just Dees and I, we have problems. And that, by the way, is not limited to Jonghyun's discography. It includes like Red Velvet's discography with Light Me Up as well. Just like I and Dees, we're not a good fit for each other. Just Love Belt. This song initially confused me so much because I kept thinking about belt as in belting, as in the thing singers do and Jonghyun himself is pretty well known for. And my confusion was immeasurable when there was no belting in the song. But I guess that's what happens when you look at the lyrics last. Now that I know what the song's actually about, I mostly feel in awe how Jonghyun could look at a very ordinary, everyday thing and turn it into a really beautiful metaphor. If you think about it, a lot of his songs are oddly situation specific, which makes them feel a lot more real, tangible, and simultaneously original. It's truly a talent. Hallelujah. The choir sounds so incredibly nice. There is a little video available that shows how Jonghyun recorded that particular part, and I really love that he went all out for that. I think it was definitely worth it. It sounds incredible, and I do like the styling he had for a lot of the stages. Like, he wears a sash. It reminds me so much of the album cover. It's just a nice connection to have. Before Our Spring. Jonghyun's always done well with portraying vulnerability and fragility vocally, and this song is no exception. Ironically, if I ignore the lyrics, this song feels like an auditory equivalent to a warm, cozy blanket. The lyrics, by the way, are also really beautiful, just as much as the piano performances. I can be very picky about that. Sometimes there are recordings that aren't so great, but this one is truly, truly well done. And I also really like songs that kind of peter out at the end, the way that this one does with the kuten, kuten, kuten. It's such a nice song. Our Season. There's this barely there staccato that makes the song feel like it skips around. Both Jonghyun's vocals and the instrumental do that occasionally, and I just love how playful the instrumental sounds because of that, and the whole song sounds because of that. The vocal color Jonghyun's chosen to display on this song is also something I really like. It's very chill but strong, and for a good amount, or the majority of the song, he sings a lot lower than he tends to do, so it's nice to hear him use that part of his register. The snapping is also nice as the featured rhythm element. It's very soft, very fitting. And that's just a side note, a more general observation that has to do with his discography, but I just love how sweet it is to see Jonghyun's love for winter in his music. Viewing winter through his lens always makes the season sound much more comfy and cozy and appealing, almost hopeful too. Shine. This song is incredibly comforting for me, and it's one of the few songs I'll actually voluntarily watch the music video for. I'm not a very visual person, so most of the time music videos just do nothing for me. It just feels so Jonghyun with all the references to his radio show hosting that he did. It feels also like the first music video that kind of truly matches him and the amount of himself that he shares in all of his publications. All of his other music videos they're not bad, but they're kind of weird oftentimes. Like, I love them, but there's just stuff happening sometimes. Like, does anyone understand she is? I'm not sure I do. If I'm being totally honest. And it's just funny to me how many like Shining references are in that song after hearing Peanut and Shiny all the time. Yeah, I like the song. The song is comforting. Blinking Game. The piano in this song is perfect. It's light, it's soulful, but it's not overpowering. And I love that there's an actual instrumental part in the middle of the song. Like, the song gets the proper room to breathe. No rushing, no expectations, just vibing. Jonghyun is also perfect. We're starting to enter the section of songs where I don't actually want to comment on a lot of things, if I'm being honest. I don't know, this one just feels so comfy and cozy. And this is once again weird association, but the song also feels like an old classic somehow. Like, listening to it feels like watching an old Hollywood movie. Incredibly precious and idyllic, plus the snowball fight mention out of nowhere. I really love how much Jonghyun's love for winter shines through. It just makes the song feel much more personal. Lonely, featuring Taeyeon. This was actually the first Jonghyun song I ever came across. A year, I think even more than that, maybe even 2 full years before I ever came across Shiny or became aware of Jonghyun. I've always loved this song because, well, you have two incredibly talented vocalists who sound great together and also really nice piano performance. How could I not love that? But interestingly enough, this song for me has always reflected Taeyeon's style incredibly well, to the extent that when I first came across it, I assumed it was one of her songs. I encountered this as part of a playlist, a Taeyeon playlist, so I thought maybe it was an OST she did together with another artist, something like that. And I remember really liking Jonghyun's voice on the track. Mentally, I had this song saved as Taeyeon's slow song featuring nice voice guy, but I wasn't necessarily intrigued enough to find out more about him specifically. From today's perspective, I think that's because this song includes comparatively little of Jonghyun's musical identity, but a lot of Taeyeon's, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. I think it's great if artists can adapt and fill or fit different approaches and vibes, but Jonghyun is my favorite artist for a reason, which means if I compare it to his other songs, it's, I don't know, an outlier. It's hard to describe. I love this song with all my heart and I love Taeyeon with all my heart, but mentally I kind of sort this song more into her discography than his. Love is so nice. This song is the slightly more upbeat, slightly more energetic, slightly more exciting version of Blinking Game to me. I get pretty much the same vibes from both songs, and I like both of the songs for pretty much the same reasons. I prefer Jonghyun's performance on this song ever so slightly. I think, and for the purposes of this ranking only, because he plays around more with his voice, but I do prefer the piano performance in Blinking Game, so it kind of evens out. Like I said, these tiers overall mostly interchangeable. I love this song so much. Orbit. This song truly shows how versatile Jonghyun's voice can be, and any song that ends with 3 different Jonghyun audios layered on top of each other is a good song. I also like how the instrumental wanes, becomes quieter when he says space. The song truly ebbs and flows around him and makes space for him. Haha, space. Overall, the space-themed lyrics are some of my favorites he's ever written, and it's so fun doing all the small ad-libs with him. Break it. White t-shirt. To this day, I am pissed. Actually, I'm beyond pissed, but that the stylists didn't put the dancers in white t-shirts, but had them wear white tank tops instead. How hard can it be to find a couple white t-shirts for them? That is the most basic clothing item I can think of. And they managed to put Jonghyun into one, which that is just wrong. Like, that being said, if you're not playing this song during the summer, you're doing the summer incorrectly. Happy birthday. For the past few years on my birthday, I've been looping this song during every possible, aka free minute. I don't think I'll ever crack the nearly full 567 times that are theoretically possible. I do like sleeping, but I did make it over 100 every single time. She is. All I can say is if you haven't, you should really go and look up the demo version of this song. It's totally worth a listen. I do love both versions of the chorus, by the way, but the demo version is kind of a little bit extra playful if you want to view it like that and just, oh, she is. Crazy. Guilty pleasure. I love this song today exactly as much as I did when I first heard it. And in the exact same way too, which is pretty interesting if you think about it. I can only think of a handful of songs where my perception never really changed at all, especially not over the course of multiple years. It's nice though, to have a song that's continuously linked to that first rush of admiration and awe. And even though I'm usually not the biggest fan of features on debut songs, I really like the way Jonghyun shadows and plays and sings around Ian. The features are very well integrated this way, and Jonghyun doesn't get overshadowed during a significant amount of his own solo song, which is often what I'm worried about. Also, the Tokyo Dome performance, crazy in multiple languages, is just phenomenal. If you can stand there all alone and make me forget that you are up there all alone without any background dances, then that's really, truly something. Deja vu. I love how playful this song is. The interaction between Zeon T and Jonghyun is great. The like stop it, play, etc. Whenever they mirror each other basically and occasionally even sound like they're teasing each other, those interactions are so great. My favorite thing about this song has ironically always been the end though. When I need a reset, I simply listen to this song and I know I'll be okay after hearing that. Okay, next. Also, New Year's. I always play this song during New Year's. Great way to start the year. And we can't forget about the wordplay, deja vu, and the storytelling within the song. It's so cheeky. I love it so much. Moon. This song is so sultry and atmospheric, and I love it so much. I'm not usually a fan of whispering, but even that's perfect and totally fitting. It's also proof that a song doesn't have to be long to be good. Monodrama. This song is so dramatic. I love it. I love it so much. This song is the answer to all of those what if your life had an actual soundtrack questions. Like, Monodrama is part of that Your Life, Real Life OST album. There's no better candidate for that. End of a day. This song is so incredibly comforting if you pay attention to the lyrics. I do think you can also just find it within Jonghyun's performance, but if you pay attention to the lyrics, they are so comforting and validating and encouraging, kind of, as well. And while I do think that the song reads very romantic, it's really just about any form of connection with family, friends, pets, which makes sense given that this song was actually inspired by Jonghyun's dog Roo, and if you keep that in mind, the song's kind of extra sweet as well. I just really love it very much. Y si fuera ella. Technically, this is a SHINee song. It's also a cover. It does feel like Jonghyun's first real solo though. I remember when I came across this song, I knew very little about SHINee. I'd heard like 8 of their songs at that point and practically nothing about Jonghyun. And the song confused me so much because Jonghyun sounded so unlike anything I'd heard from him before. Everything was much more dramatic, even downright theatrical in a way that I wasn't familiar with. And I think it took me around 3 weeks to better understand Jonghyun as a soloist. After I did, he immediately became my favorite artist. I remember talking to someone who said Jonghyun will give you exactly what you asked for, and then 5 other emotions on top of that. And looking at Y si fuera ella, I can only agree. Suit Up. When I listened to Suit Up for the first time, it was dark. It was in the middle of the night and all the lights were turned off, and I was alone lying on my bed, earphones in. I felt like floating. It felt like being made from golden stardust. It felt like seeing stars. If magic had a sound, this song is what it would sound like. Defilia Grai. This is my favorite song of all time, K-pop or otherwise. I'm sure that if I thought about why for even a second, I could pinpoint at least 10 different things all at once, but to be honest, I'm not interested in doing that at all. I prefer to simply feel the song. To me, it is art so beautiful that even though it's a sad song, I have never cried to it. I'll smile, I'll waltz through my room, or occasionally stare at the wall for 5 minutes, but I have not cried, and I don't think I ever will. It's art, it's beauty, it's Defilia Grai. And that's a wrap for now. Maybe you noticed I had a hard time occasionally finding things to say, but it's just because I love Jonghyun's music so much that my brain ties itself into knots. I simply don't want to analyze his stuff. I just want to feel it. I don't need the peek behind the curtain. I don't know why it functions. Knowing that it does is enough for me. Still, I hope you had fun. Tell me what your favorite Jonghyun song is. Is it one that I know? If not, do you think I should listen to it next? Anyways, thank you so much for watching if you did, and I'll see you next time. Bye!